Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Hypervenom Phatal 2 DF in the latest green strike and black colorway. Now inside the box, all you get are the shoes themselves. They do not come with any extras. So let me get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at this pretty pricey takedown model from Nike in the form of the Phatal 2 DF. Now, if you don't know what this is and you're seeing it for the first time, it looks a lot like the Phantom 2 in that it does have the mid-cut dynamic fit collar. With that said, this collar in the midsection is not made from Flyknit. The upper is not made from Nike skin, and it does have some differences coming from the higher end finish and of course Phantom 2 models that retail for $200 and $275. But at $170, you can get the Phatal 2 DF. What does it have to offer? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair for yourself, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. On that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $170 retail. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk about the colorway. Now this is a shoe that has confused a few people based on what I've seen. A lot of people don't understand whether or not this is part of the new Lightning Storm pack from Nike, and it's not. It's kind of its own standalone colorway that Neymar will be wearing exclusively for the time being. Not sure if it's going to stay like that, but for the moment, he's supposed to be the only professional Nike contracted player wearing this particular colorway of the Phantom 2 or of the Hypervenom in general. So while it's technically not a signature colorway and that it doesn't have any Neymar markings or significance on the shoe, it is, like I said, a colorway he'll be wearing exclusively for right now. Now the color itself is a bright green. It's what they call green strike, and the actual upper itself, the synthetic portion that is made from what they call their Mirage synthetic, does have kind of a semi-shiny appearance to it, which looks really, really good. If you're looking for bright kind of lime green shoes, these will do it for you. You've got green and yellow in the laces. You of course have the green dynamic fit collar. Then you have black accents in the sole plate, the graphic here on the lateral and medial side, and then of course the Nike swoosh on the front and back are solid black in color as well. So overall, really simple colorway. Black and green always looks good together. And if you're looking for bright shoes, definitely one of those colorways that you may want to consider. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. When it comes to performance, the Phatal 2 DF is a really, really good shoe. The dilemma that I have with it personally is that it comes at a very high price tag. For the $170 asking price, you have a lot of options out there, and that's not to say that this is a bad option in comparison to other shoes in a similar price range, but I think you have to look at all of your options. Like I said, if you were planning on dropping $170 on this shoe. Now, of course, if you do want the mid-cut design from Nike on a firm ground AG or soft ground shoe, this is your cheapest way of getting it. The Phantom 2, the Magista Obra, as well as the Superfly 4 all have that mid-cut design, but all retail for $275, which essentially is $105 more than what you can get the Phatal 2 DF for. With that said, you can get the top-end Hypervenom finish model that does not have the collar, but does have that top-end upper for $200. So you're looking at a $30 price difference between what is a top-end model and technically a takedown model. So again, just keep that in mind if you were planning on picking these up. Now, what you're getting here is pretty decent for the $170 price tag. The upper is not Nike skin, despite looking very similar to that top-end model. It doesn't have the same texturing, it's not the same thickness, and quite honestly, it's not the same material at all. I would argue that it's a little bit softer, a little bit more flexible, which feels slightly more comfortable out of the box, but not necessarily better. It doesn't have the same thin kind of feel to it, and it's not quite as firm. It's not going to provide the same kind of locked-in responsive sensation, although what you do get is still very good. They're still a very responsive shoe, and they also have worked in the Flywire cables kind of in the upper from the base of the sole into the lacing system on both the lateral and medial side that again really help to keep your foot locked in place when you do pull the laces tight. It does have the embossed lines on the surface, but none of that micro texturing, which again doesn't make a big difference on the overall performance. And of course, because this is a takedown model, it does not feature Nike's ACC all conditions control technology acting as your wet control element. But again, that's not a huge feature in my opinion that you're missing out on. So if you're looking for a thin barefoot feel that is going to have a nice locked in sensation from a takedown model, this is definitely going to do that for you, although I do think you get better quality material in the top end Phantom 2 or Finish models with their Nike Skin uppers. You do have the off-centered lacing system as you guys can see, and then in place of the tongue, as well as what makes up the Dynamic Fit collar, is this elasticated mesh material that looks similar to the Flyknit Dynamic Fit collar on the Hypervenom Phantom 2, but to the touch, it just isn't the same quality. It's more of an elasticated type of yarn as opposed to something that feels very dense and kind of well constructed like what you're going to find on that top end Phantom 2 with its Flyknit construction. With that said, it doesn't break down. I was worried about durability at first, but the pair that I tested never had any issues with it. And for the most part, if I'm completely honest with you guys, it feels more or less the same when you're wearing it in the ankle region when compared to that top end Phantom 2. So again, if you're looking for the sensation of a mid-cut shoe but don't want to spend $275, for the $170 price tag, you can get the Phatal 2 DF. Although again, you have to consider that if you just want the Phatal 2 and really what it has to offer from a quality standpoint, you can get a standard variation of the Phatal 2 for $130 US minus the Dynamic Fit collar. So it would be similar in construction to that of the Finish, minus the one-piece design, and of course maintaining the Mirage synthetic and Flywire upper that you have on the Phatal 2 DF. So you have quite a few options within the Hypervenom line when you're talking about shoes that are going to offer really good performance at varying price tags. So again, just consider all of your options if you are planning on picking up any of the new Hypervenom models, because you could argue that the Finish and the standard Phatal 2 are better values than the Phantom 2 and the Phatal 2 DF, meaning that the Phatal 2 DF and the Phantom 2, while they're more expensive than the alternate variations, they're not necessarily better performers. It's just a slightly different feel because of that mid-cut design, so just keep that in mind. No restrictiveness to the collar though. A lot of people mistake this as some kind of an ankle support, and that's not what it does at all. It's there to provide a certain type of feel where the shoe feels more seamless, like a sock on your foot, where it flows from your ankle onto your foot as opposed to something that's just being strapped to your foot. So that's the idea of this mid-cut design, not to provide extra ankle support, because it doesn't actually provide any at all. It's just a thin sock material with no added structure whatsoever. On the inside, you're going to find a synthetic padded liner on the inside of the heel, very similar to what you're going to find on the Phantom 2. The insole, fully removable, also pretty much the same as what you're going to find on the Phantom 2 minus some graphics. It does have the mesh liner on top, and it's made from a single layer of this Ortholite, quite spongy foam that feels pretty comfortable from right out of the box. And then moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, you are going to find that it is made from the glass nylon sole plate, pretty much the exact same one that you're going to find on the top end Phantom 2, minus the graphic of course. And then of course the same stud pattern as well that is consistent across the entire Hypervenom line, essentially a conical stud variation of what you find with the Mercurials. So not quite as aggressive when it comes to just digging in and providing tons of bite when pushing off, but you do get a little bit more maneuverability because of the rounded shape. And overall, it's just a really good stud pattern on firm natural grass. Performs really well, and I really don't mind using it personally. A lot of people like it, haven't heard too many complaints. So in terms of traction, really can't go wrong with the Hypervenom line at this point in time. So that's pretty much it in terms of what the Phatal 2 DF has to offer. If you want more insight on the entire Hypervenom line, I do have a line comparison that goes over the Felon 2, the Phatal 2, the Phatal 2 DF, the Finish, as well as the Phantom 2, and you kind of get a side-by-side comparison of all of those that may help you decide between one of the 5 if you're trying to pick from the new Hypervenom lineup. So I'll leave an annotation on screen. You can go ahead and check that out. And with that being said, let's move on to the weigh-in portion of this video so we can see how lightweight these guys are. In terms of weight, despite having some different materials used on the upper, the Phatal 2 DF falls into a very similar weight range to that of the top-end Phantom 2. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.3 ounces, the equivalent of 206 grams. So if you're looking for that lightweight sensation when wearing your shoes, you're definitely going to get that from the Phatal 2 DF. Is it the lightest shoe around? Absolutely not, but they're light enough. There's really not too much to complain about. And really, if you have a Phatal 2 DF on one foot and a Phantom 2 on the other foot, you're not really going to notice any difference in weight, a slight difference in the fit and feel. But for the most part, the two shoes, if I'm completely honest, are quite similar. They provide a similar experience. That's not to say that I think the Phatal 2 DF is just as good as the Phantom 2, but like I said, it is quite a close comparison. All right, so here is a look at the Phatal 2 DFs on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock green laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of reflective black SR4U replacement laces. These are actually the junior length variation. As you guys can see, there's a little bit less slack at the end than what you're left with the stock laces that I personally think are a little bit long for the mid-cut variations of the Hypervenom, whether it's the Phatal 2 DF or the Phantom 2. So if you do want a slightly shorter variation, the junior length lace definitely will work pretty well on this shoe. In most sizes, if you wear a 12 or 13, you may want to stick with a regular length one. But if you wear a 9 like I do, the junior length lace, like I said, does cut down on a lot of extra length at the end of the lace that you don't necessarily need. These things are available at www.sr4ulaces.com. So if you are interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they feel a lot like what you're going to find with the Phantom 2 in terms of the general feel. The upper isn't quite as firm, it's noticeably not as thin, and it doesn't have the same stiffness out of the box, which you could argue is a good thing, but not necessarily something that's better when it comes to overall performance. But they definitely do feel stiff still. It's one of those shoes that does take a little bit of getting used to, not so much a break-in period, but more so just a period of getting used to how these things feel and just adjusting to the fit of the shoe, especially if you haven't worn a mid-cut shoe from Nike before. There is a lot of extra pressure on your heel that you wouldn't normally have, but as long as you take things slow, wear them to the point where they start to hurt a little bit and then immediately take them off and continue that process until you can wear them comfortably for 2 hours at a time. Like I said, you shouldn't run into any issues with any major discomfort or blistering as long as you break them in very, very slowly. In regards to the fit of the shoe, it is a tighter fitting shoe and certainly not one that I would consider to be particularly wide. They're not really going to stretch much because of those fly wire cables within the synthetic that aren't going to stretch at all. So the way they fit from out of the box is the way they're going to fit for their entire lifespan. So again, if you do have really wide feet, probably not the best option for you. And in regards to sizing, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Green Strike Nike Hypervenom Phatal 2 DF. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $170 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions about this shoe, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.